I'm Steve Hampson. I'm one of the horticulturists here at Rogers Gardens, and today I'd like to share a few tips with you on how you can grow and bloom wonderful Plumerias. Considering their tropical origins, it is a little bit surprising that they do very well here in Southern California. When choosing a location to grow the Plumerias, there's some things to consider. First of all is to choose a location that's preferably full sun, probably at least 6 hours of sun, but the more sun the better. They like sun and heat. One other important thing to consider when growing Plumerias is the soil type that they are in. They like a very well-drained soil. If you're growing them in the ground, and if you do have a heavy soil, you may want to lighten that up, and this can be done by adding sand and pumice and even some organic matter, some type of compost will help loosen that soil and aid in drainage. Plumerias also do very well in growing in pots, and if you are considering growing Plumerias in pots, again, the soil is very important. I like to use something that's very well drained. Cactus mix is recommended very often. I find that maybe cactus mix is a little bit too well drained, so I like to mix my own soil. Sometimes I'll just take a bag of cactus mix and then add some regular potting soil to it, roughly half and half, and that seems to still give good drainage, but it'll just retain a little bit more moisture. This is the cactus mix, and again, it's very well drained. There's a lot of extra pumice and sand in here. So I like to mix about half and half with regular potting soil. The potting soil, again, is it has a little bit of pumice in, but holds a little bit too much moisture for the plumeria. It's not quite well drained enough. So when I do that, I will put about half soil and half cactus mix. One other important consideration when growing plumeria is the watering. Plumerias go dormant in the winter time, and at that time they'll drop all their leaves. At that time they should be kept on the dry side. My plumeria growing in pots, I rarely water during the winter months. Only when the soil almost gets completely dry will I give them a little bit of water. During the summer months, when plumerias are all leafed out and actively growing, they actually require regular watering. I let my soil get slightly dry before watering, and then I will water so the water comes out the bottom of the pot, just to make sure the soil's wet all the way through. The type of fertilizer that you use on plumeria is also important. Plumerias like a bud and bloom booster, meaning that they have a low nitrogen ratio. This Dr. Earth Bud and Bloom Booster is ideal. It's 4% nitrogen, 10% phosphorus, which encourages flowering, and 7% potassium. Any fertilizer with a higher middle number, the phosphorus, is the one to use. I will sometimes alternate a bloom booster just with a regular fertilizer. They also need some nitrogen to produce good growth in the summertime. Another one I like to use is the Seagrows. It's a water-soluble fertilizer. Again, it's 4% nitrogen, 26% phosphorus, and 26% potassium. I will alternate this one between the Seagrows all-purpose fertilizer, which is a balanced fertilizer. Plumerias have become very popular in the last few years, and nowadays we have a wide range of colors to choose from. They range from white to different shades of pink, pale pink, through a deep rose to almost red. There are very good yellow Plumerias now, and what are called rainbow ones with several different colors in each flower. Flower shape can vary from very rounded to very spidery looking, very narrow petals. And another thing to consider is that there are wonderful fragrances in plumeria. Some of them are very, very fragrant, and each variety seems to have a slightly different fragrance. Samoan Fluff is a good white variety. It has very round, overlapping petals, a good white color, and a nice fragrance. Aztec Gold is a good yellow variety. It's an older yellow one, and there's some newer varieties that are maybe a little bit more yellow, but Aztec Gold is still a very good yellow one. It's almost solid yellow flowers. Celandine, or it's also called Hawaiian Yellow or Graveyard Yellow, is the variety that's used most often in leis. It has very long-lasting qualities. It has good yellow color with a white edge to it and a very nice fragrance. Ruby Star is a nice deep pink, rosy pink variety that also has a nice fragrance. Liliana is one of the rainbow varieties. It starts with a yellow center which goes out to a white, and this is bordered by a nice deep pink rose color. When repotting plumeria, the best time to do it is in the springtime, just at the beginning of the growing season. I have one here which has been growing in a gallon pot for too long. This one is definitely in need of repotting. So even when I pull this out, yeah, the root ball is very tight, very full of roots, so this one is a definite candidate to repot. what I do, I choose a pot that's just a little bit bigger. They don't need huge pots to begin with. This is a 12-inch pot. It's an appropriate size for this size plant now. When I'm repotting a plumeria, what I'll first do is cover the drainage hole with one of these potting screens. The advantage of these is that they'll let water through, but they'll keep the soil in. They also have another purpose of keeping insects from coming up through the bottom drainage hole. So I'll just place one of those at the bottom of the pot. I have my prepared soil mix, the half potting soil and half cactus mix. And plumerias don't like the roots to be disturbed too much, so when you do take it out of the pot, you have to be a little bit careful. This one is really in need of repotting. It's filled the pot, so I'll do it at about the same level that it was growing at before. And I'll just fill in the soil. I want to make sure I get that soil packed down. And I'll just allow a little bit of room between the lip of the pot and the soil level just to allow for watering. And that's all there is to it. Again, I'm Steve Hampson. I hope I've given you some helpful tips today on how you can grow and bloom beautiful plumeria in your own garden. Happy growing!